Hey guys, what's going on? Just a quick video today to show some mechanics on Iuno that should help you deal some more damage on her. If you've been following my videos, I made a solo of the Hazard Tower recently, of the current Tower of Adversity with Iuno. And yeah, along the way I learned a few useful tricks in her, particularly when you solo, but also just in general Iuno mechanics. I'm just gonna go over the most important ones in this video, and then after these tips, you should be dealing more damage more efficiently with her. So yeah, for reference, this is what my Iuno looks like. 90% crit rate, 270 crit damage. She's on her signature weapon, and her echoes are quite good. I only have one liberation roll though. If you want a tip for building Iuno, what I would say is that these liberation rolls become more and more important the better your crit stats are. So for me right now, if I got another liberation roll on one of my echoes, that would boost my damage by a lot. But if you have low crit, you should definitely be focusing on that first, and then you can go for these liberation rolls later on. She's setting it as 0, of course, and yeah, let's take a look at some of the mechanics that I use on her when I solo the Tower of Adversity. These mechanics are going to be a mix of speed and damage efficiency. So some of these are just going to speed up your rotation, and some of them are going to be actually useful for your damage output. Yeah, so we'll take a look at the 4th floor of the Tower of Adversity that I soloed, and I'm just going to tell you guys how I did it. So on Iuno, there's really no reason to not just press Alt instantly at the start of your rotations. So that's exactly what I do. I press Alt, and that puts me into the lunar cycle states, which allows me to switch between new moon and half moon. From there, it's a lot about managing your bar. So if we go back a little bit, you can see how my bar is full when I go into it, and then whenever I press empowered E or do my auto attacks, that depletes my forte bar, right? But the first tip is unrelated to the forte bar, so we'll get back to that in a second. The first tip is that when Iuno is ready to create her domain, which is indicated down here by the left click hold here, when she's ready to do that, you can do it in a very nice way. So take a look at this. Right here, I hold to start creating the domain. As soon as I do that, Iuno is going to start a pretty long animation, around a second long I would say. When that animation starts, you can dash cancel it and then auto tag in order to land on the ground as fast as possible, because the rest of your rotation will be on the ground, but the domain animation puts you in the air. So the way to get back on ground as fast as possible is by dash cancelling the animation and then left clicking to make her go back on the ground. So take a look at this. You can see her, you can see the domain is being created, but I already dashed out of it, and now I left click so that she goes back on the ground, just like that. And now I'm back on ground and I'm able to press my E. And this second E, the empowered one, is of course what puts you into the 2 lunar cycle states. That's what allows you to switch between half moon and full moon. You want to get that off as fast as possible as soon as you left click. So the tip was that you can cancel the animation of your hold, so that you can get back into the lunar cycle states as fast as possible. Now that's going to be very useful for DPS Iuno, or for a solo Iuno. It's going to be less useful if you play her as a sub DPS, because typically that's when your rotation will end. But for a DPS Iuno, or just an extended rotation on her, this is very useful, because you want to cancel that animation because it's pretty long. And this brings me to the second tip, because once you're in the lunar cycle state, if you take a look at the forte bar, that's where all the action will happen. It's important you keep track of this forte bar, because the half moon state will stack this forte bar, and the full moon state, which is when you press spacebar, will deplete it. And when you have the forte bar available to you, you will deal additional damage in the full moon state. But we can do something very nice with this mechanic if we understand how it works. You essentially have 2 ways of depleting the bar when you go into the full moon state. The first way is to press your E button, which will be an empowered E that will do a lot of damage. The second way is to do an auto attack rotation, which also takes a bunch of the bar. However, this is where we get to the nice mechanic, because the way the bar actually works is that as long as you have any amount of the bar left, the full empowered ability will go through. So what this means is, if I have just a sliver of the forte bar left down here, which you will see in a second, I'm still able to do either an empowered E or an empowered auto attack. And to give you guys a very practical way of using that to your advantage, when you go into the lunar cycle state, you want to stay in the half moon until you have a little bit above half of your bar. And the reason for that is simple. So if you take a look at this, is exactly what I do. You can use this mechanic in a bunch of different ways, but the easiest way to use it is to stack your bar slightly above half, use your empowered E as soon as you go into the full moon state, and then do a full auto attack rotation. And you'll see why. So I go into the form, I press my empowered E, which depletes around 25%. But I had one extra little bar here when I went into it, so I actually have like 26% of the bar right now, I don't have 25%. So now we get the empowered E off, and then take a look, I will do a full auto attack rotation now. So 1, 2, And I have one singular bar left on her. Usually you'll have a little bit more than this. I don't know why it fits that well, but you have one single bar left on her, right? And I'm about to do my last empowered auto attack, which is actually 2 auto attacks. But the point is, this little sliver of Forte bar is enough to empower my 2 autos anyways. Take a look. That is. So my autos were still empowered despite me not having the required amount of Forte bar to actually perform the auto attack. So this is the way you get the most bang for your buck out of your Forte bar on Iuno. And finally, when you've done that, we round off the rotation by pressing Alt again, and then, as you can see, your Alt will put you slightly above half once again, and then you do the same thing, you press empowered E, and then you just do a full auto attack rotation. Look at that. I had to cancel it there because he attacked me, but the point remains the same. So those are 2 very neat mechanics in Iuno that will maximize your damage and make your rotations faster, and those are the ones I utilized to clear the 4th floor solo. With Iuno, this character is great, and she has tons of fun mechanics, and it's fun to learn to swap between her half moon and full moon states, because there's tons of variety between when you should be swapping, and you can also save your rotations. Like if you mess up the bar, you can swap back to the half moon, fill it a little bit again, go back to full moon, all this stuff. And yeah, I think it's really fun. It's pretty difficult to understand though, but hopefully I explained it well enough in this video for you guys to pick up on the mechanics. Once you manage to do this, it should speed up your rotations, and you should be dealing more damage. Obviously, Iuno's damage potential is very high, so it's good to learn these mechanics on a character like this, so you can maximize her value on your account. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll link this clear down in the description below, so you can go watch that if you feel like it, and you can see how she looks in practice. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.